Many of the issues on which you disagree with President Biden have a lot of crossover with President Trump, who obviously is running on the other side of the aisle. So, you're in a strange position where Democrats are suggesting that you're a President Trump plant in order to take votes away from Biden. Some members of the Trump camp are claiming that you're a Biden plant in order to take away votes from President Trump. Why not support President Trump as an alternative to President Biden?
Yeah, I don't see it that way. I think that President Biden and President Trump are much more like each other than Democrats and Republicans like to acknowledge. And let me say this, because that's going to be a controversial statement. I want to qualify it. I think President Trump and President Biden are very different in their temperaments, and extremely different. They're different in their professed ideologies, but the issues that they differ on are in a very, very narrow band. They're mainly culture war issues. They're abortion, it's guns, the border, woke ideology, those kind of transgender stuff. Some of them very, very important issues. The border is the only one that I would say is even vaguely existential. But the big issues, neither of them has even taken positions on. The debt, for example, they're both equally bad on the debt, $34 trillion. The service on that debt is now larger than our defense budget. President Trump and President Biden are largely responsible individually for that debt. Within 5 years, 50 cents out of every dollar that is collected in taxes is going to go to servicing the debt. Within 10 years, and particularly if interest rates rise, within 10 years, 100% of every dollar collected in taxes will go to servicing the debt. This is really an existential crisis for our country, and you don't hear President Biden or President Trump ever talk about it, and they have no solutions for it.
I wanted to ask you about what your solutions are to that, because we can talk about the defense budget, but the reality is 2/3 of the American budget is entitlement programs that nobody wants to touch.
The biggest cost is our medical costs, and the medical costs are preventable. And, this goes to another issue, which I believe is the biggest issue, which is the chronic disease epidemic. When my uncle was president, 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, 60% have chronic disease. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. The cost of diabetes now in this country is higher than the defense budget. One disease. And that doesn't even include Alzheimer's, which has now been reclassified as type 3 diabetes. Alzheimer's coming from the same cause that's causing the diabetes, which is food. To poison food. We have 1,000 ingredients in our food that are banned in Europe and other countries. And they're killing us, literally. The autism rate in our country has gone from 1 in 10,000 in my generation, 70-year-old men, 1 in 10,000 has full-blown autism. In my kids' generation, it's 1 in every 34 kids, according to CDC, 1 in every 22 boys. The cost of treating autism alone is $1 trillion a year. This is existential for us. And then there's albuterol inhalers in every classroom. There's EpiPens in every classroom. Nobody's talking about this and explaining why the neurological disorders, ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, tics, Tourette's syndrome, these are diseases that I never heard of when I was a kid. Nobody ever knew about them. The great bulk of my followers are young people, and I do selfie lines after every speech, and one at a time they come up to me and say, I have POTS, I have ADHD, I have all these autoimmune diseases. This is killing us as a country in so many ways, not only national security and our ability to find people who are in shape enough to defend this country, but the cost of it is $4.3 trillion a year. So it is 5 times our defense budget. These are all issues that are ultimately the result of a corrupted system, a merger of state and corporate power. That no matter who the president is, that corruption of our system is going to spit out bad policies on this issue, to keep running up the debt, to keep destroying our soil, keep poisoning our children, keep the chronic disease epidemic, and no way to solve it. That's why you can vote for Trump and Biden. You're going to get more of the same. We already knew they were both at 4 years in there, and they didn't change any of these things. They won't even talk about it because those policies are the products of a corrupt system. And I have the capacity to fix that system.